Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I look at the best basketball card designs of 1995. There are a number of years that I associate with a particular sport, and 1995 very much fits that for basketball. 94, 95, 96 to me is it feels like that's the height for the basketball card evolution. And it was leading right into when they became truly the innovative portion of the sports card world, where they were doing crazy stuff in the latter portion of the decade. But right in the middle of the decade, basketball cards, I thought, really kind of hit that spot where they found their space, or the card companies kind of found the way to make great cards. Not all of them are great by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a remarkable consistency to just how impressive the cards are during this time, and 1995 might be the height of that. I split all of the designs into two. So I have 8 designs here, and every one of the designs I go from like to love. And at the bottom is a card that I think is stronger than I want to give it credit for, and then the card at the top I think is, we'll see if it's the best design of 1995 across all 4 sports. But when I look at all these cards, I really like them all, and it reminds me of how much I enjoyed collecting cards in basketball in 1995. Because I did collect, I believe I collected all of these sets, straight out of packs, completing the sets. This was kind of the final hurrah for me for basketball. Starting in 1996, I would be scaling way back, and by 1998, I was only collecting 1 set. So it was definitely a good year to still be able to cover pretty much the whole breadth of at least the sets that we're looking at here. And so it was a wonderful trip down memory lane for me, as it were. But the difference between the different designs is not all that great. Incrementally, they are almost interchangeable, but the difference between the first one and the best one is pretty impressive between those. But I could easily reorder pretty much all of these cards at some point. So this is not so much fluid as much as I kind of tend in the direction of this one versus that one throughout. But I'm just really glad that half of the basketball card market in 1995 was really good, and I really enjoyed them all. The first of the 3 honorable mentions is Collector's Choice. And Collector's Choice this is for the 1995 card. This is a card that I begrudgingly like, not because I don't want to like it as much as I assume I'm not going to like it until I take the time to look at it, and then I realize it actually has a vibrance to it. There's a quality to the card that's kind of fun and playful. The images aren't as consistently great as I would otherwise like. I think that football might be a little bit more consistent with the strength of the images, but when they get the images and that team color floating text lined up right, it gives a great quality to these cards that goes along with the weird ghosting of the image on the border to make the card, it gives the card a playfulness that I think really works well for a card that's as basic as Collector's Choice is supposed to be. 94 was as basic as you are going to find with a card. 1995, they made it more youthful, and I think it comes across. Now, these are not cards that are going to stand out. They're not cards that are going to be all that memorable, but they don't need to be. If you want a memorable card, buy a more expensive pack. Instead, this card does just the right thing of being just another card set, but being one that is worthwhile. I guess I would go with that. So it's not a card I want to necessarily remember as much as when I stop and look at the card, I go, oh, actually, you know what? That's pretty good. And that's kind of the way to put it, but at least it's on the positive side, and I like that quality to it. The next honorable mention card is Skybox EXL. And the Skybox EXL, or I guess not EXL, it's EXL. This is the carryover of Emotion, and it's also the beginning of the EX family. It's a card that is a composite. You have a card on the front, card on the back, and there's a window cut into it where you can see the image behind, and it's literally a window. I mean, it's a stained glass window backdrop behind the player. Now, the front of it is not a window frame. It's actually matted, so it's a work of art. It's a weird hybrid where it's a work of art where it's a window with an actual window pane theme combination. Kind of, it's a weird jumble, but I don't mind because I like the way these cards come across, especially with the strength of the matte black for the border. Now, there are two things I have an issue with here, and the first one is the fact that they have a number of different borders, which I think doesn't help the cause. If they had just done one border for veterans and one border for rookies, I think the card set would have been a lot better. And there are a couple of borders that are stronger than others. But that leads me to the other concern, which is that I feel that the matte is a little bit too big and too powerful. It takes up too much space, and unlike the 1990 or 1989 NBA hoop set where you have a whole field of white, that works well in contrast to the image, whereas with this, the texturing of the black I think is a little bit too heavy. And so it loses the ability for the punch of that image in the middle, which is really impressive. It tempers that and limits the ability for the theme art on the card to carry the card. So unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at with the card, which is that I'm not going to say that I love the card, but I really love looking at the card, discovering the card. Every time I look at it, I'm so glad that I got to be a part of this because, like I said, I finished the set out of packs. I didn't finish the entire parallel set, but the set itself I finished out of packs. And that whole experience was such a great part of collecting cards in 1995 and mainly in 1996. This is a card that definitely does that. Design-wise, it's not the strongest, but in terms of when I look back at it, I'm so glad that I got to do it. And it's a lot of fun. The last honorable mention is Stadium Club, and let's all give Stadium Club a round of applause. I won't do it here on camera, but Stadium Club had been a long time coming to reach this level of actually having good designs that were strong. But in this case, the strength of the design is not because it was well designed as much as they put the right things in place to do all the right things. Stadium Club was supposed to be all about the image, and by 1995 they had really nailed good images on cards. The problem was presenting that was a little bit limited, but in 1995 they did a good job with the theming at the bottom that is a foundation that elevates the great image. And for the basketball set, they have a blue fade at the bottom, which it really shouldn't work. And in the right circumstance, it kind of holds the card back. But the strength of it is that it does do a great job, along with the gold foil, the burst at the name, of elevating the image and presenting the image to you so that the image is the strength of the card. And that's what really carries it across, is the fact that the design itself may not be all that aesthetically pleasing, but it presents the image in just the way that a Stadium Club card needs to do. And we would, by 1996, see them refining this even better. But here, it's a strong card with a great image selection set. So definitely not a top 5, but really close. That leads me into the top 5. And the first of the top 5 cards, the card at number 5, is really pretty shocking because it's 1995 Fleer. The Pacific Division, I think it's called the Pacific, not the Western. At any rate, the division that has the Sacramento Kings, the Warriors, the Seattle Supersonics, that division, the card design here is one that I really, really like. It is very clean, which is a big part of the problem with most of the other designs. The Fleer designs in 95 were just a messy assemblage of stuff where they're supposed to seem kind of unkempt and chaotic. This is one that's very well crafted. It's kind of refined, but it's that whole colored pencil scratch mark striation background that is the key that makes this card work so well. The strength of the colors is great. The color selection is great. The way that works in contrast with the band on the side is a great combination, and the team colors themselves give such a great feeling for each one of these cards that if they had used this for the entire card set in 1995, I think we would all consider the set to be a perfectly reasonable attempt. I don't know that this would necessarily work for an entire set, but for like a subset or a sub-theme, like if you had All-Stars done this way or Rookies done this way, I think that it would have actually come through as an excellent idea that we would have fun collecting. So to me, this has got to be the best of all the Fleer designs in 1995. Not that the competition is all that great, but every time I look at this card, I just go, how in the world did that come out of the mess of all these other designs? Excellent choice, and as far as I'm concerned, top 5. At number 4, I've got Topps Gallery. And this is one where, this is the hardest one I had to place, because this could easily be an honorable mention. It could easily be up here at number 4. Not any higher, but number 4 definitely works. And it's both great and a little bit disappointing at the same time, because there are a number of different designs, and there's one design I'm not even going to bring up, I'm not even going to show you, that I'm very disappointed that they did it, but they have a couple of other designs that are really strong. And it's a thick card with a highly lacquered surface with a minimal design on the good designs in the set that makes me look at this and go, that's what Fleer should have been. You have the 1993 Fleer design. Well, where do you go from it? What Fleer did in 1994 didn't work, but what Topps did here in 1995 with Topps Gallery, this would have been a great follow-up to the 93 Fleer design. And it's not that it's an overwhelmingly great design. Instead, it's the fact that they did great tight portrait shots of all of the players and for most of the themes, and that is what you want to carry through on the card. The rest of the card is just minimalistic, and it allows these portraits to read so strong, so clear, and look great. That's what I love about this card set, is that it is a rare case where Topps actually did a great job crafting each card. Except for the series that I don't want to bring up here, the other ones all look fantastic. This is true care put into a card set that by 1995 wasn't as common as we'd seen in 1991, 92, and 93. So, look, absolutely fantastic, but still at number 4, because we got a couple of Upper Deck sets that are crowning this whole list. And at number 3, kind of surprisingly, I have SP. Now, the 96 SP set for basketball, to me, this is one of the most exquisite cards of all time, but that's personal bias, because I remember collecting these cards out of packs, so many packs, and the packs themselves were exquisite experiences. The box was cool. I'm shocked that I don't still have one of the boxes. I didn't keep one of the boxes, but at any rate, all of that looked just so fantastic, and then you pull the cards out, and it just helped to elevate the cards. So I definitely have some extra fond memories of these cards where whenever I look at them, my mind is automatically going, oh, such elegance, such refinement, which may or may not be the case, but to me, to my eye, these cards will always have that. So they come through so beautifully. That said, they don't have much energy to them. That's the problem with the 96 SP set. But when you step over to Upper Deck for 1995, well, here, this is where Upper Deck's right at its prime, because these cards definitely have the energy because of the selection of images, the strength of the images, the fact that they don't have foil blocking the background like SP, but also they did such a great design theme of just a little bit of foil at the bottom, a foil logo at the top, and just a hint of a fade at the bottom to allow for the rest of the card to truly be presented in all of its glory. But if you're going to do this, you have to get the images right, and oh boy, did they do that in 1995 with this Upper Deck set. This is incredible. This is a card set that I have collected. This is one of the most collected sets for me. The number of packs that I went through putting together this set and the electric gold, or the electric silver and gold set, I went through so many packs, and it's just such a visually luscious experience going through it. I really wish that prices weren't as insane as they are, because I really want to be able to open up another one of these boxes, but it's what, hundreds to, I don't know that these are up to thousands of dollars, but they're at least in hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And it just blocks me out, because I love at least going through the cards. and at least I do have the cards. Great work, Upper Deck, great work. But I got to give the nod to Upper Deck's SP Championship Series cards for 1995 as the crown jewel of all of these sets. And SP Championship was the retail version of SP, meaning they were the cheaper version. They were the knockoff version, so they were more loose and playful. But in that is where we get the beauty of this card set, because when you look at these cards, it still has the team color marble theme on the card, but it takes up more room on the card, and then you have some gold foil treatment, and then the rest of the card just opens up to the image. And the way that it all plays in there and allows the image to be more open and a lot stronger, I feel, than what we saw over in basketball or over in the SP set, is what makes this card, gives this card the life that I think is so great. But I also have to give so much credit for the team color borders on each one of these cards that really helps to elevate it as well. This is a card set that every time I look at it, I go, how was this the cheaper version? How is this not the formal SP set? And by 1996-97, SP would pull these two together and make a phenomenal card. But this 95 SP Championship card is just, again, one of my great memories. The pleasure of going through the collecting of these cards is something I will always treasure, and I'm just, I was lucky to be collecting basketball cards here at this time. Not at the same level as before. I mean, I didn't even collect the 95 Fleer cards out of packs in this year, but I was able to do these card sets, and with good reason. Well, okay, not Topps Gallery, but I think all the others out of packs. But what a great year for basketball cards. So much fun to go through these cards. Let me know in the comments below what you think is the correct order, if you think that there's an order discrepancy that appeared on this list. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do urge you to do so, and thank you very much for watching.